So in today's class, we were looking at the concept of apilado. Yeah, really not distinguishing it too much from the term volcada, meaning, to tip or lean forward. Apilado means to pile on. So very similar concept. What we started with was an exercise where basically we took a side step, and then we can let the embrace down just a little. And then I'm going to take just little baby steps back and see how Shelley started to lean forward here. And then I'm supporting her with my torso from about here to there. And then we come back up straight. Okay? Notice that my feet are going back, and then my hips are going back, and my upper body is staying with Shelley, and then my upper body does begin to go back at some point, but it's not with my hips. This was the biggest challenge we had in the class, which is for the women to figure out whether they should step forward or lean in. So if I wanted a step here, see, I'm going to extend my leg, but then my hips and my upper body are going to go together. So that's a step. There's also, when I step back, there's a little contra body to a step. There's a little of this. I'm doing it more for the camera here. But it's there even, almost microscopic when I take a step back. Whereas when I'm initiating the apilado here, see, my upper body stays very straight. It didn't do that contra body movement at all. And then Shelley just leans right on me. It's not in the hands, as you can see, with actually no embrace here. So we're not supporting ourselves at all with our arms. It's all in the torso here. And Shelley's keeping a strong middle section, so she's not bending in here. That's going to take the energy down. Now you will see that sometimes in a show or even, it's just a more extreme version. Nothing wrong with it. Not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but it is, it does put some pressure on the back. Keeping the core strong is probably our preferred method there. And also the idea that we're using apilado here not as a style of dance, but as a technique, as an element within the dance. So normally when we take the embrace here. See, where our feet are a little apart from one another, and we're leaned in slightly towards one another, and we have compression in our torsos. So we're not here. We don't have space between us. And we're not just barely touching, we have a little compression in here, but we're not there. We're not going to dance a whole dance like this or like this. Some people do, and that's moving more into the style idea of apilado. Again, we're using this more as a moment or two within the dance. So for instance, it's the beginning of a song. We take the embrace. And I like to take the embrace really slow. We often do this in class. We don't do this and start dancing. I offer up usually the open side, could be the closed side first. And then I reach around with my right arm, and we meet in the middle. So I'm not coming to Shelley, and Shelley's not coming to me. We're coming to one another in the embrace. Because if one comes to the other, if Shelley comes to me, then, okay, now we got an apilado situation already. Because she came to me, and now she's a little off axis. You often will hear this, and, again, lots of different teachers out there, lots of different ideas on these things. But what I've heard from most of the really great teachers that I've worked with, and what our opinion is that we're not sharing balance. We're sharing a connection. But if I were to disappear right now, Shelley could still be standing. You know, she's not going to fall forward. She's not going to stumble forward. In fact, we can do this without an embrace at all. Great exercise. Put, what is this, about 6 inches or so between our toes. And then we come together. And then we separate back. See, we could do that without either of us falling. We can come this far together and still have our own balance. Now again, Apilado is a style. Maybe you do come forward so far that, yes, if one person disappeared, the other person might take a little step forward. Nothing wrong with that, just not what we do as our standard dance. So here, we're going to come together. And I'm going to drop this side just so you can see more clearly. We're going to take a side with my left or right. Now here, as I collect, I'm going to bring my right foot, sort of my toes, to the middle of my left foot. And then same with my left. And then one more time with my right. And then I'm going to compress into the floor with my right leg. Do a little lapiz with my left. And then step out to the cross. So it's left, right, left, right. Compress. Now, press doesn't mean bend. I'm keeping a straight leg. I'm just compressing my hip and my knee, my foot, into the floor. So I'm really grounding into the floor here. I could bend it a little bit, but let's not go crazy. It can soften. I often use the word soft instead of bend. Now, this step here needs to be a decent sized step. And I'm taking 2 steps outside on this side of Shelley to get to the cross. Because here, we're in parallel, cross system, parallel, cross system. So here, 1, 2, to the cross. So, big question here. Does Shelley's foot float forward? Let's do it this way. We're working with the new camera setup here tonight, so we're trying to figure out how far to be from the camera. So, here, I would say, since I'm taking smallish, even steps backwards, Shelley could let her foot float forward, or she could leave it behind. This doesn't quite feel like our usual volcada here. So here, I'm taking small, even steps. So what she might do is she might start sort of playing with her free leg. In fact, I could switch to my right and then my left, and her foot might even follow me. Then I settle on my left on this side, and then an exit out. Or she might, as an embellishment, put her foot behind. You want to talk a little about the foot going behind?
As he comes forward, I start to bring my foot around and just kind of tuck it up around my ankle. All right, again, you don't want to sickle here, but just kind of bring it up and around. All right, as he starts to push forward, I reach for the floor.
Another thing that we ran into in the class is, of course, you've got taller students and shorter students. If I'm way taller than Shelley, then I'm going to take smaller steps back. In other words, if I'm really tall and I take a big step back, then suddenly Shelley's going to be really off axis. So just play around with it. In fact, what I'm recommending, like I said, are these little half steps to get back. But I could take even smaller ones. I could go until I feel like we've got to a nice lean that's not too extreme, but comfortable still, and that I can easily exit. I could do that in 2 steps. 1, 2. Now I've gotten to the same if I took bigger steps. Now I'm going to switch right to my right again, and out. So play around. You're going to have to play around a little bit with it to find out what's right for you and the person you're dancing with. And then you'll start to figure out, when you dance with a taller person, I can take bigger steps. Shorter person, smaller steps. Something else we can do here, I could take sort of 1 step back. So we started a small Apilado here, or small Volcada. Now I'm going to take my left foot around and start walking backwards. Then when I'm done, I'm going to step side with my right, square up, and exit out. Notice what Shelley's foot's doing as I do this. Her supporting foot is staying with me. If she starts to get to the outside of her foot, to this side of her foot, to the little toes, that's when things get a little hairy. See there? Oh, that doesn't feel good. I can hold Shelley up, but someone else maybe not. The balance gets very precarious. And for the guys, notice when I step back and around, I'm curving my steps. If I froze here, I'd be in a kind of odd shape there. And then, like I said, at the very end, I square up and take a side. I could also do this going forward. There, forward. Then, what we did, this is the second week, this is several weeks of classes here. We started looking at this versus what we think of as a regular volcada, and to contrast them. So here, I'm taking little baby steps back. So again, Shelley's foot may or may not come forward with me there. But if I take that step sort of down and with more intention, then her foot feels pretty much like it needs to come forward. Then I can lead her actually to a cross there. This is a fairly linear volcada, as opposed to, oftentimes when we do volcadas, we think more circular, which is nice. It's the way I usually do them. But the linear ones have their place as well. So here, taking a smaller step back, it's at a slight angle, but it's not a round. I bring my heels together, support her foot came forward. Now I want it to cross, so I need to go slightly diagonal. And I want to give her room to cross there. If I do this, if I step too big here, see now when I take weight, I'm going past her center. And she's going to feel like she's being pushed backwards. So I want to stop this so that I can come up onto my axis and she can be on her axis, then we can exit comfortably. One way I like to use this Apilado idea as a element in the dance is I go to the close side here, to the side, and then here I take Shelley off axis as we go around. Square back up and out. I could also lead her here and there. This was actually a step that I saw lots of the older milongueros doing the first time I went to Buenos Aires, and I always heard that, oh, they don't do volcadas. But, well, they do, because I saw this step a lot. You would step outside partner, sort of bring this foot around, and you could do it on axis. You could do it here. See, we're not going off axis. But if you step back just a little bit, so it makes for a nice little volcada there.